Welcome to the Ball Brad Show. It is Friday, January 12th, and Joe Biden, the child sniffer, is still the worst president in American history. Well, you deserve a pat on the back because you all survived another week of Joe Biden in office, and that is something that should be celebrated. And let me tell you, for a Friday, we got a jam-packed episode for you, baby. A lot of news to cover and a variety of different news to cover here on the Bald Brad Show. But before we jump into any of that, as always, hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a comment down below. The question of the day is, what is your New Year's resolution? I can't believe we're now 2 weeks almost in the new year, and I never asked this question. So what's your New Year's resolution? Are you trying to get out of debt? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to overcome some obstacle in your life? Let us know in the comment section below. We got an awesome community here that would love to engage with you as well as myself. So with that being said, our lead story of the day is Jewish students are suing Harvard for failing to stop anti-Semitism while threatening discipline for fat phobia. Yes, we're starting off with a banger. And let me tell you, that headline right there sums up perfectly the policies, the narrative, the direction of the Democrat Party and the progressive left. I mean, if you had to sit there and tell somebody where they put their priorities at, just say that right there. Right there. A group of Jewish Harvard University students filed a lawsuit on Wednesday accusing it of enabling anti-Semitism and selectively enforcing its own policies to avoid protecting Jews from harassment. Quote, Harvard permits students and faculty to advocate without consequence the murder of Jews and the destruction of Israel, the only Jewish country in the world. Meanwhile, Harvard requires students to take a training class that warns that they will be disciplined if they engaged in sizeism, fat phobia, racism, transphobia, or other disfavored behavior. But if you go after the Jews and call for their extinction and the eradication of them, that's completely fine on Harvard, it seems like. So this lawsuit was filed jointly with the group Students Against Anti-Semitism, and they basically accused Harvard of violating the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and comes amidst the mounting criticism that we've seen for its response to Hamas's deadly October 7th massacre. I mean, the anti-Semitism that's going on around this country is insane, and it's all happening at leftist universities, as you can imagine. But I wanted to bring that to light because I just thought it was hilarious how Harvard's going to go after people for sizeism and fat phobia and all these other things, but completely be okay with anti-Semitism. Isn't that just lovely? And like I said, it is a narrative. It is a ideology that is driven by the left that is a part of the Democrat Party, which rolls us into this headline here, where a baking company hosts a competition barring white people as participants. Remember, folks, the Democrat Party is all about diversity, equity, inclusion, other than when it comes to white people and Asians, which is odd to me, right? And the reason why I bring that up is because there's affirmative action. If you were to go to Harvard, which there was a lawsuit in the past, that Asian people have to score a higher SAT score to get into the said university over, say, blacks and Hispanics. And it's the same thing for whites. So it's not all about diversity, equity, and inclusion at all. It's just the diversity, equity, and inclusion that ever fits their narrative. Well, that's the narrative of which is going to be pushed, which is going to be protected, whatever it may be. So a Vermont-based baking company is under fire for hosting a competition that barred white contestants from participating, an attempt to foster greater inclusivity. If you're sitting there, well, how does that foster it, Brad? It doesn't. But when you got these bozos that will vote for Joe Biden for 4 more years, as we saw earlier this week, where they were 4 more years, you get this type of thinking. Doesn't make sense, but in their mind, it kind of does. The 2024 Baking Pitch Fest, hosted by King Arthur Baking, says it will be provided, quote, equitable opportunities for people of color entrepreneurs, gracing the winners with financial support and brand exposure and mentorship to help accelerate their businesses. Well, what about the white people? Are Asians under people of color as well? What about the Jews? We saw what happened with them at Harvard. People don't like Jews at Harvard. Or at least the Harvard people don't like Jews, unless you're a Jew. So are they considered people of color? Like, how's this working here? The competition is billed as an accelerator program. It will consist of 2 parts, a product edition and a bakery edition, which are limited to those defined as a person of color-led business. Oh, okay, so I wouldn't be allowed to bake there, folks, because I got pale skin. Somehow the melanin in my skin is disqualifying me from this said baking contest. And a person of color led bakery, respectively. Winners of the bakery edition will receive a grand prize of $10,000, branding, building exposure through futures on King Arthur baking marketing, as well as a one-on-one business consulting and a free membership to the Bread Bakers Guild of America. Who knew there was such a thing? Is there any bread bakers in the Bald Brad Show that follow it? Is that a thing? That's real? King Arthur Flour specifies their use of the term POC, or people of color, explaining that the phrase is defined as, oh, here we go. We get an answer. We got an answer, which is defined as Asian or Pacific Islander, Black or African American, Hispanic, Latinx, Indigenous or Native American, Middle Eastern, or North African. Oh, so I'm just the only one disqualified here. Isn't that just lovely? Or maybe some of you, half of you, maybe. I don't know what our makeup is here on the Bob Brad Show. We got Black people watching, Asian people watching. We got everybody watching here on the show, because we don't go by our race here on the show. We call ourselves patriots. We're Americans at the end of the day, baby. Americans here on the Bald Brad Show. Race is meaningless to us here as a community. We go by the character. We want to know who you are as an individual, not by this. We don't care about your skin color. What the hell does that have to do with anything? But I'm telling you, the Democrats, that is still their platform to this day, is judging people based on their race. Abraham X. Kennedy, 1619 Project, like all that stuff that we see, White Fragility book, like their whole narrative, their whole being is surrounded around race. And they say as much, that race is enveloped into every aspect of somebody's life. But it's not. It has nothing to do with anything. But they will make it have to do with something. And that's what we're seeing here. So I'm excluded from this. Isn't that just lovely? I don't get to bake a cake or whatever the hell they're baking here. But there you have it. The Democrats being all inclusive to everybody other than white people once again. Moving into our next story of the day, we got business owners say San Francisco is getting worse for restaurants amid homeless crisis. Oh, because just Sunday, we talked about how there's a group that's promoting drug use in Democrat-ran cities, and that they should be allowed to do drugs because it's not harming the businesses in the area. Homeless is causing people to leave, meaning businesses, especially in the Tenderloin. The drug use is causing people to flee the area because it's not safe. So it's just amazing how it's article after article after article, business after business saying, hey, it's bad here. I can't run my business. It's not safe. People aren't coming in. We're losing money. This has to do with homeless here. San Francisco business owners in the city's Little Saigon neighborhood are opposing a drop-in health and resource center that will provide the health services for homeless in the city's Tenderloin district as the homeless crisis continues to hurt local restaurants. I was told it wasn't. They're doing fine, you guys. It's Democrats running the show there. You can't say it's Republicans' fault, but the Democrats will do that, as we've seen with these people doing on-the-street interviews. No, Democrats are causing this, and it's all corrupt. As we've talked about here on the show, these elites are friends with these mayors and these governors and all this stuff in these Democrat-ran cities and states. And what they'll do is they'll start a nonprofit, and they go, like, for example, hey, Gavin Newsom, hey, buddy, old pal, why don't you go ahead and just send me $100 million for homelessness, and I will solve the issue, and you won't solve it at all, and the problem will just continue to get worse. That's how it works. So your taxpayer dollars are going to some sort of fixation of homeless, drug, whatever it may be, and thus thing that they're supposed to be fixing is only getting worse, but your money's going in the pocket of some elite that's friends with the buddy that's running the show. Little Saigon is one of the few commercial corridors in the Tenderloin, a neighborhood where nearly every block is impacted by homelessness, open drug use, and mental illness. My question is, if these people are going to complain, what do we ask here on the Bald Brad Show? If you're a reporter, what do we want you to ask these people right here on the screen? What do we ask them, folks? Let me know in the live chat in the comment section. What do we ask? Who do you vote for? That's what we're curious on. Because if you voted for Prop 47 and you have all these smash and grabs, don't want to hear it. If you voted Democrat and you voted for Gavin Newsom, if you voted for your local mayor, city councilman or woman, whoever it may be, and they're Democrat, don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear any of this crap. You're allowing it through your vote. If you don't like it, vote differently. I didn't vote for this stuff. I don't vote Democrat. I don't vote for Democrat mayors and councilmen and women. I vote Republican, baby. And by the way, if a Republican was pulling this crap, you think I would vote for them? Hell no. But Democrats stay on party lines. Folks, we got to get out of the habit of always staying in our lane here of, well, we have to vote Republican. If you got some idiot that's on the other side of the aisle, maybe even an independent, that is willing to clean up the streets and actually do their damn job as a politician and work on behalf of the people, which is what they're getting paid to do, that's a person we got to vote for. Just because there's a D next to their name doesn't mean they're necessarily a bad idea. More often than not, they are. But you understand, I think, the big picture of what I'm saying here. In February, the San Francisco Community Health Clinic is expected to open a drop-in health and resource center at this specific street. The former storefront of Turtle Tower, a longtime Vietnamese restaurant that shuttered last year, the city's Department of Public Health has entered into a $1 million contract with the community health clinic to provide health services to house and unhoused Tenderloin residents. Oh, lovely. So now we're going to shift people around. We're going to provide them health care and the assistance on the streets, which, look, is a good thing. I have no problem with our taxpayer dollars going to work, and we actually know where that work is going. But the problem that, again, I have seen is just the amount of waste that we've seen from these Democrat politicians, and sometimes Republican as well, where nothing's getting done. Why are we not removing them from the street? Why do they get full access to taxpayer walkways this way? But if you were to do the same thing as a guy that was clean, you get a parking ticket. And what I mean by that is if you go up to LA, you have people with full-on bedding coming out from their car into the street. They have actual walls set up, doors. I know it's going to sound crazy. Some of you are not going to believe me. Some of them have security cameras on their makeshift walls that they put up. They're stealing electricity from the lamp lights on the street. So your electricity bill is going through the roof, and then you wonder why, because people are stealing electricity, homeless people. So anyways, they get free parking. But if I were to do that, I get a $60 LA County parking ticket. They don't get parking tickets, but I get a parking ticket and I expect to pay for it. It's just amazing how that works out. But all about diversity, inclusion, and equity, you guys. All about that stuff. All about treating everybody fairly. That's why illegal immigrants get hotel rooms, and our veterans that fought in war, they get kicked out. But it's all about diversity, equity, and inclusion, you guys, which is bullshit. It's not about that. It's about pushing a narrative. It's about pushing an ideology. It's about trying to make it seem like people are oppressed when in actuality they are not. Because if you are oppressed, you're going to vote for those that are saying that they're going to get rid of the oppressors. This is a whole narrative that has been pushed by the Democrat Party. It's an amazing magic trick. If you think about it, it is an astonishing magic trick by the Democrat Party. They keep pushing on people of color, Hispanics, Asians, and all these people that feel like they're oppressed, regardless of what it is, trans people or whatever. You live in the most free country in the world, and you're going to sit there and play victim, and you're going to allow an entire party, an entire platform, sit there and tell you that you're a victim. So rather than you rising up on your own as an individual, making your own individual choices that will allow you to succeed in life, you're going to play woe me, believe in that narrative, and stay at the bottom and continue to vote Democrat year after year, expecting different results, but you're never going to get those different results. You don't have like any further than Chicago, California, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, D.C., New York City, all these dumps. If it was to change, if they were going to sit there and actually hold to their promises of getting rid of those oppressors that are holding you down and keeping you in the mud, folks, why hasn't it happened yet? Why are you not successful then? How many decades does it take? You got to start asking yourselves questions. We saw a recent thing. Black community is starting to wake up to some of this stuff, this BS that the Democrats are pushing on them about them being oppressed still. The white man's trying to keep them down, these elites and all this other stuff. No. You have the power to change your life. Is it going to be easy? It is not going to be easy. Maybe for some it will be. Maybe for others it's going to be extremely hard. But if you grind, according to the Brookings Institute, if you do 3 things, you will not be poor in America. It's graduate high school, get a job, do not have children out of wedlock. If you do those 3 things, you are statistically not going to be poor in the United States of America. Moving on. People love my food, but they prefer not to come to the Tenderloin, he continued. They don't feel safe walking around here. The city needs to make it safer and cleaner. It's exactly what I said on Sunday. When you have these knuckleheads putting up flyers everywhere in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, you also have them in other local areas, different groups promoting drug use, going, well, we're not affecting businesses. Like, why would you not be for us doing drugs in broad daylight? Well, I don't know, because businesses say they are being screwed. I was in San Diego. We did a live stream. So if you go to our live stream tab on our channel, you will see a bunch of homeless people in the span of 10 minutes, just us walking around San Diego, which used to be a Republican-led area. Now it's a Democrat-ran area. So you can see the devastation in real time that Democrats have done. There's human waste on the ground. I'm not talking about just pee. I almost stepped in poop, okay, outside of a restaurant. You think I want to go to that restaurant that has feces sit in front of it? There's homeless people everywhere. And by the way, this is after it rained. So it was worse before it rained. People left because they wanted to seek shelter because they didn't want to sit out in the rain. Democrat-ran cities are going down the pooper, folks. Businesses is already bad right now because of the street conditions. Restaurant owner Tommy Hua said. I think it's Hua or when, but I don't know what it is. Hope they would put it somewhere else. So this is what's going on in Little Saigon. It's going to continue to get worse. Democrats have no means of fixing this, folks. It doesn't take years, you guys. We've seen video footage. They can clean this stuff up in a day. Look what Gavin Newsom did. When Xi came into power, folks, in California from communist China. Okay, Xi came, a communist. They clean up the streets. Folks, put that in perspective. It was so bad that even communist countries would look at it and go, oh shit. Yeah, let that one sink in. You could bring somebody that leads a third world country to California, and even they would go, this is bad. Where do I get that logic from? People from like Venezuela and other war-torn countries that are down in South America come here, they get come through the southern border, they get bused these Democrat-ran cities, and folks, they go, this is bad. This is way worse than I thought. I fled persecution. I fled oppression, a war-torn country, a government that hates me. It is so bad here in these Democrat cities. I would rather go back. And so we have reports, and we've covered this for a long time, viewers of the Ball Brad Show. You know this. They're going back to their home country. I would rather be in the midst of poverty and mud and gunk and a war-torn area than be here in a Democrat-ran city because it's so bad. Well, speaking of illegal immigration, you got senators introducing bills to bar states from using federal dollars to subsidize healthcare for illegal immigrants. The amount of waste that we have as a country, especially for a country that's $34 trillion in debt, is really head spinning. And if I was to use head spinning for anything, it would be that, because I really can't wrap my head around how somebody gets $34 trillion in debt. You know what? I want to ask a question. I really want your guys' take on this in the comment section. I really do. Government shutdown. I want to know, because I want to get kind of, I don't want to sit in my own milieu, my own bubble here. I think there just needs to be a shutdown. Now, that's easy for me to say because I'm not getting paid by the government. And I understand people need that money to pay their bills. So it's easy for me to freaking say that. But at what cost here are we looking at? Like, how long do we kick this can down the road as Americans before we step up to the plate here? Because, you guys, your life might not be destroyed. It could be destroyed right now if we stop the government from continuing to go, meaning we shut down the government so that some people don't get their paychecks. But the question is that you either suffer now or somebody else that's an American is going to suffer big time. And what I mean in the future, the route that we're going, people are going to be eating freaking bark off trees to stay alive. That's where we're going right now with this type of debt. Because if we collapse, the whole world collapses, you guys. You think the Great Depression was bad? Oh, wait till we got to sit there and call on this debt or pay off something that we don't have money for, because that's the direction we're going in, folks. But I'm curious, at what point, give me a number, at what point do we shut down the government? Like, to figure this crap out where a lot of our money's actually going to paying down debt, where we have a game plan here of going, hey, we can get out of debt in like 20 or 30 years if we continue this track. Other than that, you guys, there's never been a country that's come back from something like this. It's never happened. Let me know in the comment section below. I really am curious here. So senators, again, are introducing a bill here. Senator Bill Cassidy introduced a bill on Thursday that would block states from being able to use federal funding to subsidize state programs that provide health care for illegal immigrants. Love this idea. We can't, look, if we had a surplus, maybe it's part of the conversation. We don't. The legislation known as the Protect Medicaid Act would prevent federal Medicaid funding from the administrative cost of providing health benefits to individuals who are unauthorized immigrants. Remember, folks, Joe Biden's giving these people court dates 7 years into the future. We also did an episode yesterday where some of their paperwork says to be determined. They don't even have a court date, but they have an address. They have a place where they're living, and somehow they're not getting notices. They're just not showing up to court. And so if they don't show up to court, you're supposed to be deported. And so now they're filing lawsuits going, well, you shouldn't be able to deport them if they didn't show up. Well, why not? Well, they're saying they didn't get the paperwork. Well, the question is that if we know where they live, why are we not deporting them? And they get the paperwork where they're living back in their home country. I'm pretty darn sure if they're living back in their home country and you get some paperwork, then you're going to show up, aren't you? You can make the trek. You made it once. You might as well do it again. That's a joke, by the way. That last bit's a joke. But you understand what I mean. You understand the big picture of what I'm saying, hopefully. According to Cassidy's office, the bill prohibits federal money from being spent on administering state Medicaid benefits paid by an American citizen to non-citizens. If a state chooses to give Medicaid benefits to illegal residents, the bill ensures that the state does not so entirely on its own dime without any cost to taxpayers in other states. Yeah. Can we read that again? Because everybody goes, well, screw California. Brad, why do you cover everything about California? What does it matter to me? Because it has a potential of you having to pay for somebody else's health care that's here illegally in another state that's allowing illegal immigration because they want to tout that they're a right to shelter state or right to shelter city. So you're covering the cost of this, you guys. That's what I keep getting at. By these other Democrat-ran areas, they're screwing you over. And that's what that was just saying. If a state chooses to give Medicaid benefits like California to illegal residents, the bill would ensure that the state does not entirely on its own dime without any cost to the taxpayer in other states. So check this out. The legislation comes as California expands its Medicaid program to provide free health care for about 700,000 illegal immigrants in the state. The expansion is projected to cost the state more than $3 billion. We don't have $3 billion. We have a $68 billion deficit in this state. But, Democrats don't worry about money. And honestly, either do Republicans at this point. I'm a fiscal conservative, registered Republican. I want us to figure our ish out. We can't do it. We're just spending money willy-nilly on people that shouldn't be here in the first place. In the same way, we just throw billions of dollars around everybody else around the globe that hates us, like Iran that's getting $6 billion, $10 billion from what I heard last, of humanitarian aid. We have homeless people on the streets. Like the massive crises that we have going on every which direction. Why don't we worry about ourselves for just a bit before everybody else? I understand that everybody else in the world is hungry. I understand there's problems going on. But if you continue to subsidize everybody else's problems, at what point do they rise up and try to solve their own problem? Does that make sense? Everybody's heard of kind of like the family member doesn't want to do anything, right? The parents are subsidizing their home, right? They're living at home. Their age like 50. I should say 50. I'll give you a real example. Like 35, playing video games, setting up chairs at like some venue and getting paid minimum wage. And that's it. They come home and they play more video games. There's no actual productivity in trying to better their life. They're just suckling at their parents' teeth forever. So the parents are exacerbating the problem because they're not enabling that student. They're not putting situations in that person's life that will cause them to get up off their ass and be a productive citizen and to try to make their life better. Why? Because their life is good as it is, and there's no need to have to do something better because everything else is paid for already. They're getting by. Well, when your rent goes up because you got kicked out of the house, it's a little bit different story. In the same way here, if you keep giving other people money, at what point are they going to sit there and make a change in their own country so their own country can be better? We've had a civil war here. I'm not saying civil war is good. I'm not even saying that's the answer, but I'm just bringing up examples from history of where people are going to have to rise up against their own government at some point to make that change. At some point in the future, Americans are going to have to rise up against their government because the amount of laws that are on the books are removing our liberties and freedoms that are already established. And at some point, we're not going to have those, example, Bill of Rights. We're not going to have a First Amendment because we sat there and chiseled away for so long at that right is basically not able to be utilized in the first place. And so when that First Amendment's gone, there's not going to be a Second Amendment because they keep chiseling away at our gun rights as well. And at some point, that right has a possibility of being gone. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but at some point in the future, there is going to be a rise up against our government because they went way too far. And us Americans allowed it. And you go, well, Brad, that seems really extreme. It's not really extreme, you guys. Look how quick we were to throw away our rights during COVID-19. When I say overnight, I mean that in all literal sense. Overnight, we just threw away our liberties and our freedoms for 15 days to stop the spread. Mind you, that was under Trump. And I'm going to hound Trump for a second. I love the guy. But be careful, you guys, because he's trying to rewrite history himself. When he was on Fox News, why you had Ron DeSantis going up against Nikki Haley somewhere else in the country, he's trying to pretend like he didn't perform a lockdown, that he left it up to the governors. That is not true, you guys. He did lock down the country, but he did leave it up to the governors later on to open it up, and that was the message, open the country back up. So just be careful listening because Trump likes to woo people. He likes to try different things. I don't want anybody to be fooled here. The guy does lie, okay? But that doesn't mean he ain't a good leader. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean his policies and the stuff he put in place were good. They were good is what I'm trying to say. I think you understand. Well, coalition forces finally strike Houthi targets in Yemen after repeated acts. Thank you, God. It just took forever. So you have these guys in Yemen that are basically flexing on the United States for a while. And my thing is John, meaning John Kirby on the podium, Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, hey guys, why are we allowing this to happen? Why are we allowing somebody to push us around? Like, you need to send a message so they stop doing this stuff, but we wouldn't do it. So now the US and the UK and other coalition forces aren't fucking around anymore. And I'm sorry for those that are on audio. Kids, do not cuss. It's not a good thing. Coalition forces carried out strikes throughout Yemen. They're blowing the place up. And it's about time people see, look, the people, I'm talking about the Houthi terrorists. The Houthi terrorists are all of a sudden cowering, their tails between their legs. Oh. It's like you were talking and acting shit out for weeks. Now all of a sudden it doesn't work out in your favor. Now all of a sudden you see the might of the American muscle, baby. They're freaking out. Iranian-backed Houthi terrorists. But don't forget, Iran is taking that fungible funds, folks. They're taking that money that Joe Biden said frozen and giving it to humanitarian aid. They're tapping into it now. They're tapping into it, and the White House doesn't want to address it. They're going dark on the whole matter. But we were told it was frozen. Why would they get that? Why would Iran, who's backing these Houthi terrorists that are attacking in the Red Sea, traversing international waters, going after our merchant vessels, why are we still funding humanitarian aid in Iran? Isn't that the Iranians' citizens' problem? I understand it's easier said than done for me. That's easy for me to say here in America. But again, if you keep funding somebody else's aid, at which point do they rise up against their own government and say enough is enough? Easier said behind a mic and a camera than done. The strikes come after President Joe Biden woke up from his nap. Okay, on those on audio, doesn't actually say that, but it might be too far off. Who is intimidated by Iran, has sought to avoid escalating the conflict that erupted in the region on October 7th. Okay, we're in a new year here, folks. Okay, many months later, the Houthis have launched dozens of terror attacks against merchant vessels traversing international waters in the Red Sea since October 17th, with no response from the Biden or Western leaders, other than strongly worded statements. Don't do that. Stop it. Stop it. We're going to do something. You better stop. We're going to do something. And the Houthis are like, you ain't doing shit. I'm going to keep doing this all day long. And so that's why you have here them continually performing attacks. So the U.S. forces finally, so U.S. forces have been attacked throughout the region in Iranian-backed terror groups at least 127 times since October 17th, you guys. And what was said repeatedly was, hey, just stop doing that. We're going to get you. If you keep this up, it's not going to be good. So at what point is it from the first attack, or do we wait now 127 times is going to tell everybody else, hey, we can do something 100 times before the U.S. actually does something? No. The first time you pull this shit one time, you get your asses blown out of the water is what I've said, because Iranians have been doing this for a while. They'll sit there in their little freaking pontoon boat, bring a couple rounds off the bow, screwing with these people. Hey, you know what? Throw in an F-22 Raptor at these assholes, blow them out of the water, get it on footage, put it everywhere on the internet. I'll tell you what, they're going to think twice before they start effing around with people in our vessels. I'll tell you what, they will start thinking twice about it. If they don't, blow another one out of the water then. Well, and this is what Democrats are doing. Well, really? They should give up their life? They're just taking it over. They didn't harm anybody. Really? Really? This is what we're going to say, Dems, you libs? Not every Democrat, but you understand what I'm saying. The progressive, the liberals that are part of the Democrat platform. Really? We shouldn't go after these assholes that are beheading people, blowing themselves up in different countries, harming citizens. And some of these, I'm telling you, some people just don't have it together, folks. They don't have it together. I call them NPCs. The strikes against the Houthis were carried out with the support of Australia, Canada, the Netherlands, and other nations. More than 2,000 ships were impacted by the Houthi attacks. So thank you that we're finally blowing some stuff up and not messing around look, that's how we should behave. So good on Biden. Look, good on Biden for finally stepping up to the plate and flexing some muscle here. We don't like terrorists. Why we went so long with allowing this stuff to happen, I don't know. But along with terrorists comes Hezbollah. U.S. officials becoming increasingly concerned about Hezbollah striking inside the United States. How would they get here? How would they get into the United States, you guys, to perform a terrorist attack on us? How would that possibly happen? That's crazy. Oh, our southern border is wide open. That's right. Gotcha. Okay, we're 10 million people poured across the border. You guys understand that in 2016, we had 22 million illegal immigrants that we knew about in 2016. You're looking at almost a decade later, 10 million people. You're looking at over 30 million illegal aliens in this country. That's bigger than multiple areas around the country in terms of our population of states. Amnesty's coming, folks. Amnesty's coming whether you like it or not. U.S. intelligence officials are reportedly becoming increasingly concerned that Hezbollah, an Iranian-backed Islamic terrorist group based in Lebanon, could launch terrorist attacks inside the U.S. homeland as tensions rise in the Middle East as they continue for the months regarding Hamas and Israel fighting back in October 7th. So they're going to come through. There's already terrorists here. Okay, these Democrats don't understand that. Well, they're being apprehended. DHS secretary, he said that the border's closed and that they're processing these people and they're giving them court dates and that they've caught all the terrorists at the border. This is how some of these people think, you guys. This is how some of the people think. They don't understand how numbers work sometimes. There's at least, we've apprehended 300, okay? 300, let's just use that number. Even if it was 10%, okay? That's enough to perform an attack to kill a lot of people here. A lot of people. Politico reported that officials believe that Hezbollah, which has a large arsenal of rockets and other military equipment, could likely target U.S. personnel in the Middle East, but they have encountered information indicating that Hezbollah could be planning attacks inside the U.S. or U.S. officials overseas. The terror group has capabilities other than other terrorist groups in the region do not have, because the significant funding from Hezbollah receives from Iran every year, believed to be near $1 billion. Like we mentioned, Iran is getting $6 to $10 billion in humanitarian aid. And the Dems are saying, meaning the leaders of the Democrat Party, Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, John Kirby, Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, well, that's frozen. They can't touch it. Really? Really? Because it was just proposed this week that they've tapped into the money for humanitarian aid. And John Kirby's response, oh, well, our vendors are pre-approved. They buy it, we approve it, and then it's shipped in. Again, it's fungible money. Even if, say, the Iranian regime, the Ayatollah Khomeini, like whatever, didn't actually use, the supreme leader actually didn't use that money, say theoretically, if you remove $6 billion from your budget, right, and put it towards humanitarian aid, well, that hurts you in supporting terrorism. But the second that somebody else gives you that $6 billion, all of a sudden now you have $6 billion freed up for, guess what? Terrorism. And you explain this to the Biden administration, and they don't have a clue. They can't process this. And what I think is, obviously they can process it. They like this shit. They like violence. The Democrat Party loves violence. Look at the localities. Look at the crime. Look what happened when Trump was in office with the cities burning down everywhere and MSNBC going, well, it's mostly peaceful protests while the city was burning behind the guy. They love violence. They love the smash and grabs, folks. They love businesses being looted. They love having their food and products behind cages. They love that stuff. They love everything that's going on at the southern border with the crime that's happening down there, with little girls being raped. They love making sure the cartels have billions of dollars in money. They love the fentanyl pouring across killing Americans. If they didn't, it wouldn't be happening. We can stop it. They love when the Houthis perform 120 plus attacks on our vessels in international waters. They love this stuff because if they didn't, they wouldn't allow this BS to happen. And that's plain and simple. There ain't no which way around it. They love it because if they didn't, like I said, it wouldn't be happening. It wouldn't be happening. But it is. It is. And it's going to happen in our soil here. And the sad thing is it's probably going to happen under the next president's regime or the following president. You also have more than $1 billion of sensitive military equipment given to Ukraine and is delinquent. Don't know where the hell it is. Oh, we said it was happening. We said it was happening. The Pentagon itself has failed 6 consecutive audits. Now we don't even know where $1 billion of military grade equipment is. It's amazing. 3 freaking years. And this dude that's running the show, meaning Joe Biden, the child sniffer, the guy that fights with his teleprompter, doesn't know his damn name, looks for dead people in the crowd. Now we got $1 billion of military equipment that's delinquent in Ukraine. You know where we also gave billions of dollars of military grade equipment? Black Hawks, Humvees, machine guns, just ammunition, gloves. I mean, you name the list. Like the binocs, you know, the I don't know, I can't even think right now. The night vision goggles. Like, we gave it to the Taliban. We just left it in Afghanistan. Joe Biden somehow loves giving people that hate us equipment. You notice that? Or money. But you know who did that too? Obama. Oh, well, there's some probably libs or Dems in here. They go, well, plead your case. Well, I don't know. Barack Obama, the Fast and Furious case gave the cartels machine guns with serial numbers, and in some cases wiped the serial numbers off. And then the idea was, oh, well, we'll just know who's actually doing the crimes once the crime has been committed, and we'll get the guns back and we'll trace it. Who is selling those guns? Huh, that's sound logic. Yeah, no, that's real good. So you're going to give a bunch of guys a bunch of guns that don't like other people, that behead people and kill families, a bunch of weapons, and then you're going to try to figure out who sold them the weapons and committed the crimes and all that stuff after the crime has already been committed. No, that makes a lot of sense. Oh, you gave $1 billion to Iran cash. Oh, no. Oh, it wasn't for humanitarian aid. Oh, shit. You actually gave them $1 billion cash. Oh, okay. So they can just spend that on whatever they want. What does it say here? Oh, Iran, what? Every year believed to be near 1 billion in funding who? Funding who, folks? Oh, Hezbollah. Oh, it's amazing how that works out, huh? Oh, $1 billion cash. It just so happens they give them nearly $1 billion a year. So you got a Barack Obama that probably funded Hezbollah for 1 year. Very well could be that money all the way from Barack Obama's time was sitting somewhere and was utilized for the attack that was on Israel. Far stretch. Probably didn't. But, hey, you know what? If Democrats are going to shout racism and idiotic stuff out there in the sky that doesn't actually exist, why can't we then? Because whenever we say actual truths, we're just taken as conspiracy theorists, you guys. Hunter Biden laptop. We said the Russian collusion hoax was fake or wasn't real. Like all this stuff, every time we say facts anyways, they just come at us with, oh, it's conspiracy theories. Oh, there it is. Another MAGA supporter. Another crazy. Well, the Department of Defense, again, has not tracked more than $1 billion worth of specialized military equipment sent to Ukraine, according to an Inspector General report released on Thursday. The report details how roughly $1 billion of the total $1.69 billion worth of the defense equipment rated for specialized monitoring sent to Ukraine from the United States and partner nations is delinquent. Like more than half of it. There's just no clue. Not an iota of idea. While there has been significant improvement in the delinquency rate for inventory, this sensitive equipment, persistent gaps as identified, in our evaluation may correlate with the inability to maintain complete accountability for this critical U.S. security assistance. You guys, if this was going to the hands of like our allies, say Australia or Canada or, the UK, honestly, I really wouldn't really care that much. Okay, those are guys that we predominantly trust. They've had our back for a while. Ukraine is known for corruption. They were being looked at. We've covered this ad nauseum here on the show. They're a corrupt country. You don't want to hear it? I'm sorry, but it's true. So when I hear that, well, we don't really have $1 billion's worth of equipment that we can track, my thing goes into, well, where did it go? Where's our money going? We never know. Do you notice that our government officials just go, hey, we're just sending $1.69 billion of stuff to Ukraine. Can we get a list somewhere? Maybe there is a list. Somebody let me know. Can we get a list of where, like, what exactly are we sending over there? Can we be transparent on what the hell's going on with our money or our military grade equipment that is paid for by us? Like, we don't know what the hell's going on. We don't know where our money's going ever. I got to look into this. Look, I was an auditor for a short time. To sit there and go through this stuff would not be fun, but you know what? Maybe we should. I don't even know if we have access to all this stuff. I don't know how accurate it is to like where our dollars are going. So there you have it. Nobody knows what this is going on. It might be nothing, you guys. To be honest, it honest to God, might be nothing. They might find where this equipment is, what's happened to it, and be able to track it. Probably not going to happen. I don't hold my breath with this type of stuff. Last couple articles here. Whoopi Goldberg says Trump's promise is to round people up and put them in camps. The idiots still have a job. It really is remarkable. It really does tell you how good America is. It is remarkable how great we are as a country. The fact that Whoopi Goldberg could sit on a televised show and say just outlandish stuff and get away with it. And get paid millions, by the way. Millions to say outlandish stuff. The View host, Whoopi Goldberg, claimed on Wednesday that former President Donald Trump planned to round up and put them into camps if he ever won a second term in the White House. It's insane. During a discussion with her co-host about the upcoming 2024 presidential election, Goldberg argued that inflation and the inability to keep up with the household bills would pale in comparison to what Trump might do with another 4 years. This is how they sit there and they try to rationalize crazy things in their mind. Folks, if you just switch out the name Trump, you are talking about Biden. You are actually talking about Joe Biden, but they don't see it that way. So here we go.
People's faith in the country is waning.
Yes.
That's the thing that's pissing me off, because in fact, there's a reason Joe Biden ran the way he did. There's a reason he's running for democracy now, because that's really what's at stake. You worried that you can't pay your bill? Wait till the other guy becomes president, and you won't have to worry about it because you'll be in some camp somewhere, because that's his promise. His promise to us is he's going to force people to do his bidding. That's what he said. I'm going to be good on day one, and I'm going to turn into this other person. So here's the deal. This is all up to you. This is all up to you. We can sit up here till we're green in the face. But this really comes down to the people. What is the country you want? Do you want the country that you kind of thought you had, where we all get to say what we think and we don't have to be afraid of being American?
Folks, she's talking about the Democrat Party. It's insane. And she's going to try to spin it and talk about Republicans.
And believing that, yeah, there will be people who come in, and some will get in quick, and some will take a different route, but they're coming here for a reason, because they're living in a place that's not good for their families. If you're okay with that,
then where are their families? Why is all military-aged men pouring across? Like, if they care so much, why are they leaving their families behind? Wouldn't their families come on the trip with them? And you got to love how she totally just like, well, you know, some come in easy, some come in the rough way. Jeez.
You understand that? Then fight for us to find a better way to make immigration work. Fight for that. Don't fight for keeping everybody out, because then we all have to leave.
What? This is, you guys, I mean, a lot of liberal women watch that show, you guys. A lot of like white liberal women. So it says outlandish things, and you worried that you guys can't pay your bills. Now, isn't that a slap on the guy that you voted for and running the show right now? The fact that people are struggling to pay their bills now? Wait till the other guy comes in. I wasn't having a problem paying for my bills. I mean, Trump did a tax cut that I saved 3% on my taxes, and most Americans did. My retirement was fine until COVID-19 happened. The Chinese still haven't paid for that, by the way. Joe Biden still hasn't done anything. Nobody's done anything to the Chinese for allowing a massive virus to be released into the entire United States, but also the globe, and nothing's been done. Nothing's been done to them. Like, no penalties. You know what I would say? I mean, China roughly has 7-8% of our debt. Hey, wipe that out then. We don't owe you that 7-8%. Cool. We just drop a lot of money, which is great. I'll take that. I'll take that all day. I don't need for them to give us money. Just drop the debt that we owe you and we're good. But they don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. And she's going to say stuff about illegal immigration. So then she pivoted to discuss illegal immigration in vague terms. I just had to present it to you guys because I thought it was the most insane. Trump's going to round everybody up. Remember the news outlets? I think it was like Morning Joe. He's going to just start executing people in the streets. Do you guys remember that? So Trump on second term, quote, I'm not going to have time for retribution. This is kind of going a little bit more into detail on what Whoopi Goldberg was saying, where Trump was asked a question. I forgot what it was, about him being a dictator. And he said, look, on day one, I am going to be a dictator, where I'm going to be a dictator when it comes to illegal immigration. I'm going to fix the border crisis. I'm going to fix what's happening there, which, as you saw, they just want people pouring across. You saw it on tape. We watched it with our own eyes. 4 more years. 4 more years. We know. We just covered stories talking about terrorists. We just covered stories talking about terrorists potentially striking inside the United States. And this idiot, Whoopi Goldberg, is going to sit there and tell you to allow people just to pour across the border. On TV, by the way, getting paid millions, in the same way Karine Jean-Pierre is getting paid $180,000 to do that type of performance every single day on the podium. So former President Donald Trump said he will not have time for retribution. There's so much damage that has been done by the Democrats in 4 years under Joe Biden, the same way so much damage was done under Barack Obama's time, that he doesn't have time to be a knucklehead. He only has a second term, 4 more years to figure his ish out and fix the mess. I said, I don't think 4 years is enough. Do you guys think? It's so bad. I don't think 4 years is enough. The amount of foreign issues that are going on that he's going to have to dabble in and try to fix, the peace deals he's going to have to resurrect again, is 4 years of work. And don't mention the domestic stuff that's going on. He's going to have a lot on his plate, guys. He's going to have a lot on his plate. And I don't know if he could do everything. Former President Donald Trump again said he doesn't have time for retribution during his second term in the White House, in an apparent walkback of comments made earlier in his campaign. Trump said, sat with Fox News host Brett Baier and a live town hall event in Iowa on Wednesday evening. The Trump event took place as CNN held a debate between Trump's Republican primary foes, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. As you saw, Chris Christie dropped out. A lot of Chris Christie votes are going to go supposedly to Nikki Haley, which is going to give Nikki Haley a boost. Trump is still up, but Nikki Haley is going to be a close second, people are projecting. Now, as long as Ron DeSantis stays in, that's going to keep Nikki Haley as a boost, because most likely if Ron was to drop out, those supporters are going to go to Trump. They're most likely not going to go to Nikki Haley. So we almost, in a sense, if you want Trump to win, you want obviously Ron DeSantis to drop out, because a lot of those people are going to shift over to Trump. Ron's a great politician. He's a great Republican. He does great things in Florida. I just, now's not his time. Maybe when Trump's done, we can use him. But right now it's Trump's time. Baier asked Trump about the time the former president plans to spend on retribution and looking backwards during a second term. And Trump said this: how much? It's stated how much of a second term of a Trump presidency would be retribution. Trump said this: well, first of all, a lot of people would say that's not so bad, and I think he's right. I think a lot of people would understand after 4 indictments, after years of them going after him, the impeachment queries, the lies that were spread, the PP hoax, the Russian hoax, all this stuff, I would understand him wanting a little bit of vengeance and retribution, but he doesn't have time. Look what they did. Russia, there you go. Russia hoax, FBI, Twitter hoax, the 51 intelligence agent hoax, all of these different hoaxes that they did. A lot of people would say that's probably quite normal. You're seeing it in real time, folks. The man is saying exactly what I just said, logical thinking. I'm not going to have time for retribution, Trump continued. We're going to make this country so successful again. Let me read Trump's voice. I'm not going to have time, Brett, for retribution. We're going to make this country, this beautiful land, home of the brave, free of the brave, whatever you want to call it. They're all brave. They're all free. Successful again. I'm not going to have time, Brett, for retribution. And remember this, folks. Our ultimate retribution is success. Great line by the president there. Great, fabulous answer. This is the Trump we need to show up. This is the Trump, these types of answers right here. This is what we need to hear. Quite honestly, you guys, we don't necessarily need to hear this all the time, him bringing back the Russian hoax. It's not a bad ploy to refresh the American mind. But, man, this is a really good answer from a president right here. I love hearing that from Trump. We need more of that here in 2024 from the man. The comments appear to step back from a pledge he made in his supporters earlier in the campaign, promising to be justice and retribution. And the left just ran with this. The outlets just ran with it. In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today, I add, I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those that have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution. He told that a CPAC crowd in March of last year to loud applause. I will totally obliterate the deep state. The deep state is real. I used to think that wasn't a real thing. If you want a great book, there is a book called The Deep State by Jason Chaffetz, a congressman from Utah. Highly recommend it. You'll see Jason Chaffetz a lot on Fox News nowadays, but him and Trey Gowdy are my two guys. I miss them. We could really use them in Congress, but that made me a believer in the deep state after reading that man's book. I will fire the unelected bureaucrats and shadow forces who have weaponized our justice system like it has never been weaponized before. It's sick. These people are sick. Agree. I will put the people back in charge of this country again. The people will be back in charge of our country. Notice he keeps talking about the people. You notice that? Where Joe Biden's always talking about illegal immigrants, Ukraine, Russia, like every China, all these other places. When are you hearing in Joe Biden's speeches, America first, our vets, I want America to be successful and all these things? No, you don't. You guys, in the White House press briefing today, which I didn't cover because there really wasn't much there. Yesterday, the White House press briefing yesterday, Karine Jean-Pierre was asked, hey, oil production's up, which has helped drive gas prices down. Like, what does the administration have to say about that? And how does that kind of correspond with their overall plan? You would think that that is a great thing, right? It is. Gas prices are down. We wanted oil production to increase. That is a good thing. You would think that they would run with it. Well, gas prices are down, but, we want to really utilize electric vehicles. We really want to move towards that direction. So because they can't come out and say, this is great. Look what the president has done with oil production, because he's already screwed himself by saying he wants to get rid of oil. He doesn't want them to drill. So something that is good, you can't contribute and take hold of and run with that, which is a good thing, because of your narrative, because of climate change. You don't like that. So it's astonishing. It's astonishing. They're not for American success. They're for other countries, which is why they're giving Iran $6 billion to use. And then Iran's going to use money to sit there and fund Hezbollah. And Hezbollah has a likelihood of conducting a terrorist attack in this country. Or you got the Houthis conducting 127 attacks on our vessels in the Red Seas, and also going after our military installations around in places like Iraq, I believe. 127 attacks. And finally, we just started bombing them. Finally, we just started laying down the law. Because before, Joe Biden would just bomb some empty building and move on with said story. This man here, Donald J. Trump, needs to be number 47, folks, in my books. Ron is great. It's not his time. I think in the next 4 years, when Trump is done, that is his time. I think a good VP pick is Vivek Ramaswamy. I think Trump needs to pick Vivek. It's not going to be Tucker Carlson, you guys. We talked about that. Tucker just started his own network. Was it the TCN or TNC, Tucker Carlson Network? It has to be TCN. So if he's going to put all this time and investment into that, and presumably spend millions of dollars in that production of whatever he's doing, which is great, by the way, he's not going to be vice president. So we got to drop that one out. Carrie Lake, not a good pick. Too much drama. We don't need that for this country. Nikki Haley is talked about. She's been asked, would she take a VP nomination? She's not a bad pick. I've read her book. I've seen what she's done with the UN. But the thing is, she's been going after Trump. So we'll see. She's been going after Trump pretty hard. I don't know if Trump's going to pick her now. Vivek has been the one that hasn't really been hounding Trump so much. He's been hounding the deep state, similar to what Trump has been doing. Trump packages things that could be misinterpreted, misunderstood by the left. So I think Vivek would be a phenomenal person to chauffeur out everywhere. Look how hard he's already working to sit there and take the president's message, repackage it for other people like the idiot left and other Americans that just might need a repackaging and a rebranding and a re-understanding of what Trump said, and run with it. He's very good. He's very good at talking. I love the guy. He wouldn't be a bad pick for president. It's just not his time. Again, a lot of these people, it's just not their time. It's Trump's time. So I think a VP for Ramaswamy is a great pick for Trump. I hope he does it. But we'll see who he has. He's going to have to pick somebody here in 2024, so we're going to find out. But let me know who you guys think would be a good pick. It might not be any of those people. It might be like Tom Cotton or something, or Chip Roy, or Roy Chip, or whatever the hell his name is. I don't know. But with that being said, folks, a banger of a Friday episode. Am I right? In the comment section, again, the question of the day for y'all is, what's your New Year's resolution? Mine is honestly, well, it's a lot. I would like to start writing a second book. I've been researching a few ideas, but I would love to write a second book. I want to grow the show. I want to grow Spooky Adventures channel. In a few months, I'm actually going to Arizona to a ghost town. So we might do some filming there for Spooky Adventures, folks. I am staying in a haunted hotel. Oh, we're doing it, baby. We're doing it. We might do some little clips here and there. I'm not, we got to get people to film and stuff like that. So we'll actually see. I don't want to build it up, but I might do a little bit of something, a little bit of ghost hunting and investigationes, just a teensy bit, like a 10-minute clip or something. But head over to Spooky Adventures, links in the description. But a lot of stuff planned. I want to lose weight. I want to lift a little bit more. So that's kind of my New Year's resolution. And honestly, just hang out with all of you and be more consistent on the show. Like, try to get it in every day, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the dot. And just spend more time, do more lives, stuff like that. So we'll see. I'm a one man. You guys are amazing. Love you to death. Leave us a comment down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. Head over to Spooky Adventures. Hit subscribe. We'd love your support on that end. And folks, I'll see you tomorrow here on the Will Brad Show.